Our lives are shaped by the mobility of people, goods, and ideas. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic brought much of those movements to a sudden halt.
In a matter of a few weeks, the virus spread around the globe, and so did the policies aimed at restricting human mobility, as if they too were contagious. In Europe, for example, most governments restricted the movement of people and closed their borders within only a few days in March 2020. But in the long run, we have found an important difference between mobility restrictions within countries and restrictions to mobility across international borders. For example, in most European countries, lockdowns and the closure of schools and shops had been lifted again by May 2020. By contrast, restrictions to international travel remained in place well beyond the end of the first wave.
For this reason, we think it is crucial to investigate international travel restrictions in greater detail. Distinguishing between different categories of individuals on the move, we see that some inequalities have increased during the pandemic. For example, business travelers were allowed to cross national borders in more than 60 countries, while only 4 countries made explicit exceptions for asylum seekers. In this way, the pandemic reinforced pre-existing forms of legalized discrimination of different travelers. But the pandemic also had some sort of an equalizing effect, because standard travel documents were no longer sufficient to cross international borders. This change had the greatest impact on citizens of countries in the global north, who previously had far more extensive mobility rights than those in the global south. For example, Italian and Japanese citizens who wanted to travel abroad experienced travel restrictions that were already all too common for passport holders of Afghanistan and Senegal. In this way, the pandemic has leveled mobility rights globally. COVID-19 travel restrictions have been a global phenomenon. Our study reveals how governments differentiate between various forms of human mobility. With our longitudinal data, we demonstrate that travel has been restricted worldwide, but not everyone has been equally affected.